Swinging a high drive into center field. Hits at the wall. It is gone! Casas does it again. It's gone! It's into the bullpen! This game is tied!
And he swings and rips one to center field. It's high, it's deep, it's back, it's gone! Sale winds, he fires. Swing and a miss, strike three, it's over! The Red Sox have won the World Championship!
Yo, everybody. Welcome back to Play Tessie. This is episode 108. If you're listening on drop day, this is August 5th. This is the official podcast of having your bachelor party at professional major league ballparks, which is where Gordo is right now, which is why you hear myself, the producer Joe Braverman, along with Sammy and Dr. Pat Brown, as he's now officially called. Before we get into this, make sure you are subscribing onto everywhere you find this podcast, Spotify, Apple, wherever it is. Hit the subscribe, rate us 5 stars, really helps out the pod. If you're watching us on YouTube as well, subscribe to the channel. We've got our own playlist on the WEEI channel. Just search for the Play Tessie podcast. Now, normally this spot is for Gordo to rant about this series, but the floor is going to go to Sammy on this one because, Sammy, we're doing another vibe check here, and I got to tell you, the vibes are feeling a lot better than they did probably since the All-Star break. This is as high as maybe the vibes have ever been since then.
Well, first off, Joe, that was a heck of an intro right there. That was great. I like the yo to kick us off. Very exciting, enthusiastic. I'm sure listeners were caught off guard, but not in a bad way. And yeah, man, I agree. The vibes are great right now. This is dead set in the middle of the dog days of summer. It is disgusting outside as we're recording Sunday afternoon. I think it's still raining, but it's like 85 degrees, humid, just nasty. Texas, I can't imagine what their weather is like. I know they play in a dome. It's still tough. Gross weather. And these last 2 series, the Seattle and the Texas series, kind of have represented that in a way. All these games have been, either tight games where you're sweating it out towards the end, no pun intended. Actually, maybe I did intend to have a pun there, but games where you're sweating it out towards the end, games where you feel like, oh man, this one's going to be tough, like today. You're coming off a rough loss yesterday to the Rangers, and then you have to face Eovaldi, and it just doesn't feel good. You're thinking, man, this could go south quickly. But this Red Sox team, whether they win or lose, these guys do not lay down and die. And I could not have said that about the 2022 or 2023 team. These Red Sox fight until the end. And like I said, it's been a microcosm of that. Thought today against Nate Eovaldi, they fell behind and didn't panic. I think that's partially a product of having a great manager in Alex Cora, a leader of men like that. And it's just been a pleasure to watch. I'm glad they won the series. That's 2 in a row now. It doesn't feel like they're exactly on a roll right now, but it feels like they're fighting. They're fighting it out. And that's what you got to do this time of the year. And yeah, man, the vibes are high. I feel it's kind of hard to describe. Not relieved, not excited, kind of like on to the next. Like we passed this test. If you're the Red Sox, you passed the test. You passed the defending champion test. You committed regicide against the defending champs. And now you're moving on to what might be the biggest series of the season so far against the Royals, which we will preview in the following episode. But man, I don't know. How are you guys feeling? It's an interesting time to be a Red Sox fan, a fun time at that.
Yeah, I mean, after fresh out of the break when they were losing series left and right, you're like, oh my God, here we go again. We've seen this the past 2 years. It just kind of felt like everything was going to start to unravel. But much like you said, it does feel different than years past. They're kind of not fully correcting course, but they're able to make those adjustments. They're able to piece themselves back together. And one thing I feel that's worth mentioning, notice how once Garcia and Sims get in the bullpen's been fine. Bullpen's been good. No one's being overused. They have quality arms again. Everything is clicking for the bullpen. The starting pitching, we'll talk about, not super encouraging this series. But, I mean, they scored 25 runs in a 3-game series. Things are going well. They're picking back up. Like Sammy, you said, I don't feel completely good, but reassured. This team's okay.
Reassurance is the key word there, Pat. Reassurance is because we knew that the Sox had their talent. They had a lot of talent on this roster, but the problem was coming out of the break, was that they were really, really struggling and they were just absolutely depleted. Now they're getting some reinforcements. As you said, the bullpen is getting much better. The lineup feels like it's much more centered and everyone's kind of figuring out their role. So it's still not, sky is blue, grass is green, everything is perfect. But the Sox are in a much better spot than where they were coming out of the All-Star break. And it kind of It reassures you about what they did at the deadline, not necessarily for that starting pitching, but the reinforcements they brought to the bullpen and a little bit more weapons in that lineup. I think it makes you feel really good as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like if the bullpen was a boat, the boat started to leak a little bit, and then you bring in Garcia and Sims, and they've patched the boat. We'll see about Paxton. Like I said, we're actually, let me make a correction from earlier. We're previewing the next series this episode at the end. And we're going to talk about James Paxton, who's, would you call it the most controversial addition that the Red Sox made, or the most? That's a tough one. There's a lot of different opinions on
controversial might be a hard word because I think he's got the talent and the capabilities, but maybe like the biggest red flag of an addition.
Right. That's fair. That's
underwhelming addition. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you needed a starting pitcher. He's the one they got. And I think that's where we should start when talking about this Texas series is the starting pitching. And the Red Sox did win 2 out of 3. So I don't want to start on a negative, but we got to talk about Kutter Crawford, who has had a good season to this point. But you talk about red flags, and his is like that flag that they drape over the green monster. It is a huge red flag. Joe, I think you have the statistic. Kutter Crawford is making history, not in a good way, though.
Yeah, some very indistinct history. Kutter, in his last 3 starts, has allowed a total of 12 home runs, which is a new major league record. Add on the 4 he gave on Friday. And keep in mind, those 3 starts, he went a combined 15 innings. So not a good stretch for Kutter Crawford, for a guy who looked really good at the beginning of the season.
That is, I mean, I'm looking at the pitching stat leaders right now. There's a lot, there's guys who haven't given up even close to that this year. So the tough thing is about Kutter Crawford, when your deadline addition is James Paxton and you don't really have much high minors starting pitching depth, you kind of just have to let him ride it out. There's no solution. There's no, well, what if we did this with him? What if we brought up someone from AAA? There is none of that. You don't really have that luxury. So I don't know. Where do you go from here? If you're Alex Corey, do you have to keep running him out there? There's no other option.
Yeah. And I think this was, we were talking about it in the group chat, but this is where it starts to hurt that you didn't get another starter at the deadline, because guys like Houck, who has also not looked great since the All-Star break, and Kutter, those are guys that would benefit from an extra day of rest. If you could, for a week or 3 series in a row, just run a 6-man rotation, give them that extra time. You can't do that. You're banking on Paxton to be healthy. Sure, you could go Criswell, but then you deplete the pen. It's a whole mess. You really do need to bank on those guys figuring it out, because if they're not good, that rotation gets real ugly real fast. And we've seen it through the last 3 starts for Kutter. It's not pretty. Hard contact, and he plays off of deception. He doesn't throw hard, but he deceives hitters. If they're not deceived, he gives up the hard contact, and unfortunately, that's been the last 3 starts.
Yeah, and people, the common comment on Kutter is to say he looks tired, but he just had a break. So I don't know if if I buy that excuse. He might be a little fatigued, but so is everybody else in Major League Baseball in the dog days of summer, as we spoke about. So it's really just something he has to figure out. This is when Andrew Bailey makes his big money. When you have a kid like this who's clearly talented, he can clearly succeed at the major league level. We've all seen it for multiple years now, but it's just this time of year he slows down, and it doesn't look like the velocity's down a ton. His pitches still look like they're moving. It's got to just be fatigue or something like that.
The silver lining with Kutter is that these are all solo shots. They're not with guys on base, and his stuff does not look that good, as you said, Pat. But the beauty with maybe the biggest red flag in all of MLB is that he's given up these long balls, but it's still within striking distance for his lineup. So as you said, Sammy, there is no other option other than to just ride it out and hope Kutter works through this, because this is just another step into building his starting pitching resume, because it starts with the innings, because he started as a reliever, a bulk guy. So this is just another step in his journey to sort of certifying himself into a quality starting pitcher in Major League Baseball.
I have a question for both of you, and I posed this on Twitter amidst the Kutter Crawford strange outings plural that he's been going through. Hypothetically, let's say Kutter Crawford gives you 6 innings and 3 earned runs, but all 3 earned runs are solo home runs. So he gives up 3 bombs. Would you guys say that's a good start or a bad start?
I guess it kind of depends on what the situation may be, at least from my end.
Let's say it's tied.
I think like depends on how many home runs like he's given up. You know, if this continues to be a problem, like let's say he just came off the Dodgers start where he allows 5 home runs and then lets up another 2 or 3. That's when it would be an issue for me.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. So you're saying, wow, that's the most interesting answer I've heard to that question. So you're saying like if he had just thrown 8 shutout innings, not given up a single anything the outing before, and then the next outing he goes 6, but he gives up 3 solo shots, then you'd say it's good. But with the context of like coming off of another bad outing,
yeah, okay. You have to look at the before and the after of everything. It's an issue. Like let's say Kutter, as you said, went 8 and gave up a solo shot, and it was like 1-0 or whatever like that. It depends on what he did before and what he's going to do after.
That's an interesting answer. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, I think it'd be fine, but at the same time, I think it's more concerning than it would be a fine outing, because just knowing the underlying theme here, seeing that would not be encouraging. Like I wouldn't call it a good start, because what's been killing him is home runs. And sure, he limited damage to 3 runs, but he still let up 3 home runs. So I don't know. I think it would be concerning, but in terms of game outcome, you can't really be mad about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting, because I saw a lot of the people gave me absolutes for answers. Like, yes, good start. He went 6 innings. Well, let me rephrase. When I asked it on Twitter, I said 7 innings, 3 earned runs, because I felt like 6 people would say no. But people were giving me either yes or no. I think that this is an example of you need context with statistics, and it's just it's a really weird season for Kutter at this point. Like he looked legitimately the Cy Young favorite in the first month and a half of the season, and then I don't want to say fallen off, but he's just regressed to the mean, you could say. I mean, his numbers still look good. His ERA 3.81 over 22 starts, 127 innings, so he's about to pass his most innings pitch, which is 129.1 at the major league level. Obviously, he leads the league with 26 home runs surrendered. Here's the thing that scares me. I just gave you his ERA of 3.81. His FIP, fielding independent pitching, is 4.75, which is not very good, boys. Not very good. That is like a 5th starter quality. So I think it goes without saying, this home run ball thing is more than an issue at this point. And this next start is going to be absolutely huge for Kutter Crawford and the Red Sox, because it's going to come against the Kansas City Royals. But aside from the parade of home runs that Kutter gave up, the Red Sox still won the game 11-6. A lot of notable performers. 2 hits from Jarren Duran. Tyler O'Neill 1 for 3. Devers 2 for 4. Wong 4-hit game again. Wilyer Abreu a home run, 3 hits. Just all around good offensive performance. Rafaela had a home run that went exactly 400 feet. So though Kutter didn't pitch his best, the bullpen kept it together. And you know, it doesn't have to be pretty. When you get a win at this juncture of the season, you're fighting for a playoff spot. A win's a win. So we were happy.
Yeah, I was happy with seeing that win. You know, that's why you can talk about Kutter Crawford, and yes, you can be concerned about it, but you still won the game. the fact that you can still win these kinds of games when your starting pitcher struggles the way he does, I think is a beauty and the Sox haven't had that luxury in quite a long time. You know, the bats can go hot and cold, but at least you have more of a chance where they can be more hot rather than more cold, as we saw in game 2.
Mm-hmm. You also saw Lucas Sims pitch another good outing, 1.1 innings. Got the hold in this one. And we saw the debut of Lugar. Do you guys approve of that nickname?
Lugar? Sure.
Lugar.
Why not? Sure.
Kind of gross sounding. Lugar. It sounds like Loogie. Lugar. I don't know. Does he have a nickname already?
Does he?
My God. Oh no, never mind.
Is it not Lugar?
I thought this said armadillo. It's armadito. Okay.
It's probably the Spanish word for armadillo.
Okay, so I'm gonna call him armadillo from now on. Oh my God, this is great. I can't believe
Here comes the armadillo.
You know what I was saying? I was
pen.
talking to a friend about this trade. Like, yeah, it's good. They got Luis Garcia. It's not exactly an exciting trade. He's a middle relief guy. I guess he could step into a setup role if you need him, but it's a good move. It's not exciting. But now, this guy's nickname is Armadillo, Armadito. This might be a new clubhouse favorite. I don't know. I think we go ahead with this.
So one fun fact, really fun fact in my eyes, is Sims. I forget what the actual number is. I think he's thrown 12 pitches with the Red Sox. Does that sound right? He threw 13 the other day, and then before that, I think he had thrown like 7 pitches in the third inning. He has not thrown one four-seam fastball.
The least shocking thing of all time.
That is the Andrew Bailey effect, and the dude hasn't given up a base runner.
Yeah, I mean he's
been nailed.
Yeah,
he's been so good.
The overarching point through the whole series, I guess you could say, is you feel really good about the bullpen and the additions that they made, as I said.
Guys, I'm trying to find the Spanish word for armadillo, and I think it's just armadillo. So I don't know what armadito is.
No, I believe it would be armadillo.
Yeah, sorry, armadillo. Excuse, that was such a gross American accent. I'm so invested in this now. Like you guys can continue the show. I need to learn more about.
You do your research. We can move on at least to game 2 because
not only is he armadillo, but why is he? What about him is an armadillo? Because an armadillo I think of as slow, defensive, like a catcher. You could call armadillo. Armadillo.
Confirmed. Spanish is armadillo.
Okay. So we need to find out what armadito is because there's a T on baseball reference.
Ito means small. So armadito.
Small armadillo.
Small armadillo. Yeah.
There we go. Small armadillo, but that doesn't make sense because he's 6'2", 240. This is fascinating.
Oh, this is a question for when we get back on the field, and just like we did with Garrett Cooper, we talked about Koopaloop. We got to do more into Armadillo.
You know what we should do after this episode, since Gordo's not here with us recording. After the episode, I think all 3 of us should just send a photo of an armadillo in the group chat, no context or anything. Just see what Gordo says, and I think it'll tell us a lot about if this nickname is going to fly or not. But Joe, you were about to move on to game 2 and I interrupted. My apologies. Please go ahead.
No, hey, Armadillo is just as important as listening to game 2 because well, the Rangers were able to win this one 7-4. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if I'd call it the most frustrating loss of the year, but it was very, very frustrating. Saw Tanner Houck have a great start getting underway. Maybe his best start since in the post All-Star break. He had some really good movement on a lot of his pitches. He got out of a lot of jams, but then just the killer was the 3-run home run to Jonah Heim. And then right after that, Leotis Taveras going back-to-back, and then having him out of the 6th inning with some just really sloppy defense. So give me your guys' assessment on game 2. To me, very frustrating, not the most frustrating, but there were at least some glimmers to take out of it.
Oh, that was so frustrating. You know those games where as a fan, you're watching, you're up 3-0, you got your ace, your de facto ace on the mound, and mentally you kind of kick back and relax, thinking like, okay, they got this on lock. Texas, they're banged up. They're not as good as they were last year when they won the championship. We're good. So I'm on the train listening to the game, get off the train, go get food. I turn off the radio for 5-10 minutes, and then I turn it back on. It's 4-3, and I texted you guys what the hell happened. I turned it off for 2 seconds, went back and watched. Too much middle. It's the same thing with Kutter Crawford. I know Andrew Bailey's philosophy. We've heard, rumblings that he's all about attacking the zone, and I totally understand why he would say that, and I agree. I'm not going to act for a second like I have even close to the pitching knowledge of Andrew Bailey, but this is where it could kind of come back to bite you. And the frustrating part is with Houck, we can't even say, oh, it was Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. It was their 8 and 9 guys in the lineup. So I agree with you, Joe. Not the most frustrating. I think that's easily the Yankees game that they were a strike away from winning. But it's still very frustrating when you mentally put your brain in baseball fan cruise control. You think you're on the way to winning a series with a chance to sweep the world champions the following day, and it just all goes down the drain pretty quickly too.
Yeah, that was one of the weirder starts because he had more good flashes than any other start post All-Star break. He went 5, struck out 7, walked 2. Like those numbers on paper, you're like, okay, that's pretty nice outing. 6 earned. Like it almost felt like a Bayo start, didn't it? Like it was like that late falling apart. Like it was just like, it looked so good. And then it just fell apart.
Yeah, and it happened fast.
And it's just, you got to weather the storm. You're not going to go 6-7 innings, 1 earned, 2 earned every single time. But we're to the point now where it's been 3 starts, I believe, since the All-Star break, and none have been overwhelmingly good. He's looked fine in most of them. So him and Kutter both, it's just like you got to really, really hope that one, ideally both, but at least one of them can be remotely close to what they were in the first half. Because if not, it's not going to get easier winning games.
Yeah, and it's strange too because it's not like Houck was pitching poorly. I'm sure the numbers, people will roll their eyes and say, well, he gave up 2 home runs and all these 6 earned runs, but 7 strikeouts over 5 innings. He was fooling guys. He was getting whiffs. Like it's just the mistakes. The mistakes were big mistakes. So okay, maybe he wasn't pitching well, but he showed flashes of the good stuff that got him to the All-Star game and made him, like I said, the de facto ace. I don't want to call him an ace yet. I feel like that's a very prestigious label to have. I don't think he's earned it quite yet. He's on his way, of course, but just with Houck, put him in the same class as Crawford, a guy who looked like a Cy Young contender early on, and that's why we remind ourselves how long this baseball season is, how things can change drastically. And I know Houck is still going to be looked at as a very good starting pitcher. His ERA is at 3.09. It's the first time it's been in the 3s all year. That's still an outstanding number to have. And I know it's not just ERA we're going off of here, but for the quality of podcast, I think that's a lot simpler and easier to go off of. So I don't know. That it's the same thing as Crawford. Like I said, you got to let him figure it out. There's no rest for him in there. There's no skipping a start. You have to let him figure it out. And that's why you pay Andrew Bailey and Willard, this whole, what do we call it? Run prevention unit. This is when they got to step up. So Tanner Houck, not great. Bernardino continued to struggle in that game. Another earned run for him. Had the weird pickoff move to second, which I don't know about you guys.
I don't know how you divvy up the blame on that one because Bernie threw, but Sogard, I think it was didn't even move. It obviously was a miscommunication, but you'd have to think, at least for Bernie, that if you didn't see anyone going to the bag, you should at least hold on to it. So I do.
It could even be the catcher too. Yeah, it could be the catcher too. We don't know. Like Jansen could have said, done the glove drop thing or signaled something. I don't know, man. It's just my thing with pickoffs to second base. How often are they a positive for the team doing the pickoff compared to how many times they fly into center field or deflect and roll away and give an extra base? I feel like all the weird things in baseball, I feel like picking off to second is never good. It never works. And the daylight play is so few and far between where you see a guy actually get caught. I think the Red Sox, someone got nabbed earlier this year on a pickoff to second. But the point of that is it's so rare that we remember, oh yeah, I think that happened earlier this year. Whereas I feel like at least 5 times we've seen a ball get thrown into center field on a pickoff throw to second.
Yeah, it was just a weird play. And like Sammy, you said, like sometimes there's a play on, like catcher drops the mitt, you have no time to think. Like you're turning, you're firing, maybe like who knows. But at the same time, like you said, it's in all seriousness, how often does that net positive? I feel like it's the best that's going to be maybe 50-50. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, the classic turn and fake would be the right thing to do. But I will say from this game, there are some bright spots. Our guy, Rob Refsnyder, first career multi-home run game in his first 2 at-bats.
Yeah.
4 for 4. The guy was absolutely unreal. And we
almost
saw
hit Gordo.
Yeah, he did almost hit Gordo. That would have been insane. That would have been insane next time he joins after the Royal Series. He comes up with that ball. That would be funny. But also, I think maybe bigger than it all, we saw this new formula of Danny Jansen as your catcher and Connor Wong in the infield. And his play at first base, I don't know about you guys, I was very, very encouraged. I had said on the last episode, the issue I had with the Danny Jansen trade was Connor Wong, the plan of moving Connor Wong into the infield, taking grounds at second and at first. And we kind of agreed that this would be a long-term deal, but Cora decides to roll it out. And one of the very first plays dives and gets an absolute sniper, throws it over to Houck to get the out. So I was very encouraged to see those two things. Refsnyder with a great game and Wong showing some tremendous defense in an unnatural position.
I thought the throw was even more impressive than diving to get the ball. That's such a tough play to, first of all, you're on the ground. You got to get up, find the pitcher, collect yourself, throw it in front of him so he catches it. And he looked like a natural out there. He is a little bit small for first base, probably not ideal, but whatever. You can hack it. I also thought it was really funny looking how he looked so light flying through the air on that play. Like he looked like he flew through the air and then almost slid like he was on a slip and slide. He went so far. But yeah, great play for him. Also have to highlight Rafael Devers hit his 25th home run, got his OPS over 1,000 for a moment, went back under today, but still hit the ball hard. He's just having an unbelievable season. And per Cora, if you're picking up the tea leaves, he hasn't even been healthy for, I think, all of it. I don't think he's been healthy all season long. So it's like, do we even want him to get healthy? He's playing so well. But yeah, as poorly as the pitching went that game, I think the offense was the bright spot. I'm glad Gordo's not here. He doesn't like when we do the silver lining stuff on losses, but what can you say? And another good outing for Cooper Criswell, who has been...
That's what I bring in the third chair.
Yeah, the bright side guy. But yeah, last thing I want to touch on in the second game, Criswell, again, good outing. I still don't know how I feel if I would rather him over Paxton in the rotation. I think Paxton in the bullpen is kind of weird, and that's the holdup for me. But Criswell has been, for a $1 million pitcher, I mean, you can't ask for more. So credit to him. I think he's gonna. This year is so big for Criswell. He's gonna have such a bright future after this. Just proved everybody wrong. So, yep, bright side. Sorry, Gordo, if you're listening. We're taking the positives away from a loss, and it was a good game, you could say. No, it wasn't.
No, let's completely ignore that and just go right to game 3, which won the series for the Sox. Nick Pivetta, I got to tell you guys, it was not looking good. Corey Seager, he allows that home run. Then he lets up another home run. But other than that, shut down baseball. Only 3 hits, I believe, on the day for the Rangers. Very interesting strategy that Alex Cora decided to go to, where he pulls Pivetta after only 70 pitches and decided to be a little ultra aggressive when it comes to the bullpen. He threw in Cam Boozer. He only had to throw 2 pitches coming on in, but then right down the line and went to Kelly. Bernardino came in. Winkowski ended it. But that wasn't the story. Wilyer Abreu, just with a monster game, 2 home runs in what we found out. Tom Caron and Nesson first reported that he got some sad news, no specifics generally on what happened last night in a phone call he got. But Abreu mashes it. He gets 2 home runs on the day. The Sox offense, their lineup, just on fire. They were on fire in this series, but Sammy, to me, that was the two big things for me was Pivetta getting pulled early at the behest of Houck Cora, and Wilyer Abreu's just monster multi-homer game.
Yeah, I want to start with Pivetta. I told you guys this earlier. I'm getting really, really tired of how dramatic Pivetta is being on the mound, visibly. Like, we criticized Brian Bayo for this a lot. He gave up a solo shot to Corey Seager, who's one of the best players in the world. Like, there's no shame in giving up a home run to Corey Seager. It's a solo shot, too. And he gets in a crouch on the mound, and he's screaming, probably, God fucking damn it, Nick, like we heard in his sim game. Just like, dude, stop, relax. And I know that's probably how he gets himself going, is he's a high emotion guy. But I just feel like that's such a shitty message to send to the rest of the team. Like, you're the one veteran starting pit. Well, now you have Paxton, but the one veteran that's been with you all year long, and he's having a friggin', a mini meltdown after a solo home run, and then he does it again at the, like, it's just draining. Like, stop, man, relax. I can't imagine his teammates enjoy that. So I will say, though, credit to him, he did limit it, kind of, sort of. It wasn't his best outing, but anyway, yeah, just have to touch on that. It's just so bizarre to me how some guys are like that. Like, you like, keep it pro. But
it's funny how we talked about that a bunch of weeks ago. It's funny how we talked about that a couple weeks ago with Brian Bayo. How Bayo's issues were in the emotions and the drama side of things. Now, I texted you guys in the group chat. It seems like Pivetta's sort of taking that on. And I think you have to say the same thing with Pivetta, but hold him to a higher standard because he's more of a veteran. And as you said, Sammy, you can't have that from a guy who's one of the supposed leaders of your ball club.
Mm-hmm. A lot different with Bayo. You can say he's
I do want to ask really quickly, Pat. What do you think about the decision for Cora to pull Pivetta 4 2/3, 70 pitches, ultra aggressive with the bullpen? Did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was pregame today, but Cora had mentioned that we're now at a point in the season where every game matters. You really have to mitigate damage. You have to be ahead of be ahead of everything. So I would rather someone be pulled too early than too late, and that was today. Nick didn't look sharp. You got 4 2/3, 2 earned out of him. Fine, whatever. To me, if he kept going, you're looking at a 3-4 earned run spot, and maybe that game plays out differently. So I think getting to the bullpen, and the bullpen's gonna do a lot of heavy lifting. That's why they went and got Sims, Garcia, Martin's coming back, Slayton's coming back. Hendricks is about to go on a rehab assignment soon. You're starting to gear up for the push. I like the move. As decent as he was pitching, you have to do it because too late, they lose the lead. It's tied up. It's too risky. You have to go with what you think is going to win you the game from here on out.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and this was a big win. Like, this flight probably matters a lot to them. Flying from Texas to Kansas City. We see our guy Zach Kelly post all the time when they win the final game of the series. He'll do his happy flight post. Like, this matters to these guys. So, big win. I like Cora managing aggressively. By the way, Boozer, so clutch. He's been great this year. I can't believe how well he's pitched. So
how about the bullpen going 4 1/3, or I might have that. Yeah, 4 1/3, 1 hit, and 5 strikeouts. So Boozer officially got credited with the win, but that bullpen is on another planet. And then kind of wrapping things up, transitioning to the next series, or talking about our series MVP, as I mentioned, I feel like we need a short discussion on this one because I think we all agree Wilyer Abreu just took the series by storm. 3 home runs in the series. I say, without a doubt, unanimous decision, he is the series MVP.
Yeah. I mean, please give me the argument for anyone else. There's no shot. Can I give you some Wilyer Abreu numbers? He has an 856 OPS for a rookie who was never, ever a top prospect with the Astros or the Red Sox. He's got an 856
Actually leads
OPS.
all rookies.
Yeah, leads all rookies. 12 home runs, pretty good. He's going to be probably a little bit short of 20, but still, that's pretty good. 7 steals, might be a double-digit steal guy. So, just a hell of a season. And then the defense. Nobody ever talks about Thick Willie's defense. 82nd percentile, outs above average. You guys want to take a wild guess where his arm strength ranks
Oh, he's got a bazooka.
Well, give me a percentile. Where do you think? Give me an estimate.
96.
Higher. 99, dude. He is one of the best arms in baseball. And that's what you need at Fenway Park in right field, because it is the biggest right field you're ever going to see. For as small as left field is, right field at Fenway is just a nightmare. You need 2 center fielders pretty much if you're the Red Sox every single year, forever. So Wilyer Abreu just, I mean, what can you say? This is beyond what I thought he'd be doing. And I know it's still, we're not to the finish line yet. We're not even close at this point. But man, just such a fun player to watch. I feel like he's starting to get that clutch gene too, a little bit. He's getting there. And it's just great. It's great to watch. He uses all fields too, which I think is a great sign for a young guy. The strikeouts, he strikes out a lot, but whatever, man. I mean, he'll clean it up as he gets older. So, yep, Thick Willie Series MVP. I think we all agree. I think they even talked about it on the. Actually, no, they did talk about it on the broadcast on WEI and on Nesson. So we all agree Wilyer Abreu is a Series MVP, and he's going to win Rookie of the Year too. And if he doesn't, then it's going to be Saddam. So take that, haters.
Yeah,
hell yeah,
straight up take that. Take that.
Take that, yeah. Thick Willie.
All right, let's get into the series preview because we got to quickly shift because this is maybe the biggest series of the second half that the Sox are going through. Starting on drop day, 3 games in Kansas City, the third wild card team and the team that's chasing them, Royals, Red Sox. The Royals did win their game and they won their series in Detroit. They have won 3 of their last 4 and 6 of their last 7. Granted, it was the White Sox in the previous series, so we digress. But they have a 2.5 game lead on the Sox right now for that third and final wild card spot. And these 2 teams did meet right before the All-Star break. They had a 3-game set at Fenway. Sox won 2 out of 3 in that one, but 2 completely different teams now post All-Star break and post trade deadline. Game 1 will be James Paxton against Brady Singer. Paxton's going to make his second start with the Sox. He's 8-3 with a 4.52 ERA. Had his team debut against Seattle last Tuesday. He went 4 1/3, gave up 6 hits, 6 runs, 3 of them earned, had a walk, and struck out 5. Singer is 8-6 with a 2.88 ERA. He went 7 innings, gave up 6 hits, 3 earned, didn't walk anybody, and struck out 4 in the win last time he was out against the White Sox. Game 2, we'll see Brian Bayo take on Seth Lugo. Feels like a mismatch more than anything. Bayo, we argued it last episode, maybe his best start, one of his best starts of the season. He went 6 1/3, did give up 7 hits, but only 2 earned runs. He walked 2 and he struck out 7. That was a no decision in the Sox 3-2 walk-off win against the Mariners. He's 10-5 and a 5.13 ERA. Seth Lugo continues to be Seth Lugo. He's tied with Tarek Skubal for the best ERA in the majors. He's 13-5. 2.57 ERA. He did get a loss last time out against the Cubs. He went 6 1/3, gave up 6 earned on 5 hits. He only walked 2 and he only struck out 2. He did pitch in the series against the Sox and he got lit up in that one. 5 earned allowed over 5 innings, 10 hits, allowed a walk, struck out 6. And then you got your game 3 matchup, Kutter Crawford, Cole Reagans. Reagans 8-7, 3.36 ERA. He's 4th in the majors with 159 strikeouts. He shut down the Sox last time. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and he struck out 7. Got a win against Detroit last time he pitched. 5 2/3, 2 earned, 4 walks. So that's something to watch for. And then 6 strikeouts. So before we get into these predictions, let me give you a little series update. As Pat and Sammy, I should say, were the correct ones in correctly predicting 2 out of 3. Gordo tried to do the reverse jinx and went for the sweep, but that was not the case. I said that they would lose 1 out of 3. So the standings are Sammy still on top with 12. Gordo, Pat, and myself still tied for second with 7. It seems like we're never going to break that tie, or at least hold on to second for much longer.
All right.
So let me get Gordo's picks out there. Gordo did get his pick, so I'll just say out there. He says 1 out of 3 for the Sox. So Gordo says 1 out of 3. And now we're going to go to the leaderboard. Sammy, what do you think for this upcoming series?
I feel really good about this until game 3. Game 3, if you had to design like the worst possible matchup right now, I would say Cole Reagans, Kutter Crawford. So I think that's a loss. I like them winning the other 2 games. So I'm going to go with the same exact prediction as I did for the Texas series. I think they win the first 2, lose the last one. I know I didn't get the order right with Texas, but Sox taking 2 out of 3. I'm keeping Seth Lugo on fraud watch. I said this last time. Gordo, who's not here, thought I was crazy. Then the Sox kicked his ass. So I think he's a fraud. Singer, I don't think he's as good as his numbers. He doesn't really do much for me. He's good. It's just not as good as his numbies. Bale looked good his last time out, so I feel good about that. Paxton, big bounce back for Paxton. Just don't throw the ball to MJ Melendez, who seems to friggin' kill the Red Sox every single time. Actually, he killed the Red Sox today on Sunday as we record. He hit a game-winning home run for the Royals, which kept the Red Sox from gaining a game on the Royals. So even when they don't play MJ Melendez, he's crushing them. So Red Sox win 2 out of 3, win, loss. And let me add, whoever wins this series gets the tiebreaker. Or if the Red Sox win the series, they get the tiebreaker. Royals, I believe, would have to sweep. So
that's a
2
lot
out of 3.
of
Yeah, so it's a lot on the line.
Yeah.
If you win 2 out of 3, you get the series, you gain a game on the Royals, and you get the tiebreaker. So you would win if the season, on the off chance you end in a tie with the Royals. This is a really, really big series.
It is really, really big. Pat, what say you?
I'm not going to be making up any ground on Sammy because I'm going with the same exact thing. Deja vu, because I think all 3 of these guys the Sox played last series. They faced Lugo, they faced Reagans, they faced Singer. Singer went 2 2/3, 4 earned. He had an early exit. They absolutely crushed Lugo. Reagans is a nightmare. Reagans is so good, and he does everything well that the Red Sox cannot touch offensively. Cole Reagans, last time they played, 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned, 1 walk, 7 Ks. I'm pretty sure in that game he has the most swing and misses against the Red Sox in a single game this year. Not encouraging.
No.
So I think they take the first 2, lose the third against Reagans, get out of Kansas City, up a game. So I'm going with.
All right.
Good. Dude,
All right.
I agree with everything you said. I think that was beautiful and no notes.
Thank you.
Because he said almost the exact same thing you did, Sammy. He's got the same prediction.
Oh, a gentleman and a scholar. Great point.
Yes, quite nice. By the way, I have to update you guys in real time. The weirdest thing ever just happened. And if you're not keeping up with the Yankees Blue Jays game, Genesis Cabrera, Blue Jays reliever, just threw out a ball because it's kind of rainy and the conditions are bad. So he threw out a ball, but he threw it kind of hard at the Yankees dugout and it almost hit Aaron Boone. And then Aaron Boone picked up the ball and threw it at what looks like the Blue Jays catcher. So someone just sent me this as we're recording. I have to let you guys know. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Like a manager throwing a ball onto the field.
It's Aaron Boone. What else could you expect? If anyone was going to do a never before seen, it's going to be Aaron Boone.
Yep. And it's right in front of them. So
yeah, exactly. Let me get my quick series. I'm a little bit more of a Debbie Downer. I think I'm going to go that they only win 1 out of 3. I'm not. I know Lugo might be a little bit of a fraud, but those Royals hitters are just so damn good. Bobby Witt Jr., MJ Melendez. I think they're going to win the first game. I think they're going to lose the next 2. I don't like them against Lugo. I don't like them against Reagans. So.
And Joe, I think they're going to get double-digit hits off of Lugo. I think they're going to embarrass him. He might throw up from nerves. He'll see the Red Sox and just be like, "I'm going to puke." And the Red Sox just crush him.
All right.
Yeah,
So a lot of wait and see then. Pat, I believe it is that time. Can you tell us what's up next?
Crystal bomb.
Bomb it.
Bomb it. Yeah, right. Gordo's not here. We didn't discuss beforehand who would yell bomb it.
We are a well-oiled machine. So quick standings update. Wow. What a wild weekend. First, let me just say, Pat went with Danny Jansen. Wrong. I went with Don Smith. Wrong. But Sammy and Gordo are deadlocked at the top of the leaderboard. Thick Willie got Sammy the lead for most of the weekend, but then today, as we record on Sunday in Game 3, Jarren Duran left the yard and got Gordo that point back. So Sammy and Gordo are still tied atop the Crystal Bomb leaderboard with 16 points. Pat is behind with 7, and then me in the basement with 4. And I will say Gordo did send in his pick, and he went with Rafi. He took Rafi in the series.
Yeah, got to use those Devers picks. You guys like save your Devers picks. I pretty much use Devers as much as possible because I feel like that's just the best way to optimize. Unless there's like a Yankees series coming up, then I'll maybe save them for a week. But I think the way to go is just use them. But all right, shall I lead off?
Go for it.
Okay, I can't use Thick Willie or Devers. 2 righties and a lefty pitching for the Royals. I am going to go and ride the hot bat. I'll take Jarren Duran. I think he bombs one in KC. I like it to happen in Game 2 specifically. So that's my pick, Jarren Duran.
All right.
All right. Joe, you can go.
Okay. This is a guy I wanted to pick last week, but quickly fell off of him. Just didn't have the confidence, I guess. I'm going to go with Sedan here. I think there's usually at least one game in the series where he has a really good game. We saw it Friday when he hit that bomb in Texas. I think he's going to assert himself here in Kansas City. I like him to get another one out of the yard. Give me Sedan.
It's a risky pick. Was in the lineup today. I like Tyler O'Neill.
Ooh.
Tyler O'Neill just seems like a guy who's going to crush one in Kansas City, like all the way out of Kaufman. I like it. It's banking on his health, banking on him in the lineup. I don't know. I like Tyler O'Neill this series.
Is Kaufman the stadium? No. You know what I'm thinking of? I was thinking of the Reds. The Reds play right next to, I think, the state of Kentucky. And you can technically, if you hit the ball out, hit the ball into another state. Adam Dunn did it. Right? Am I crazy? Do I have my geography completely wrong? I don't know.
It sounds right to me.
If I am, just tweet at me and call me an idiot. But no, that would be cool.
No need to tweet. I'm just going to call you an idiot right now.
Fair enough. That would be cool, though, if Tyler O'Neill hit the ball into another state.
You might be right. Oh, yeah. It's difficult because both Missouri and Ohio touch Kentucky.
Okay,
well,
so
the Chiefs' home stadium is in the same vicinity. It's the same area. I don't know if you could probably hit a home run though, like over everything and into Arrowhead Stadium. So
why is there a Kansas City, Missouri, and a Kansas City, Kansas? Why does that's some weird things with
whoever discovered that is the person you're gonna have to talk to.
They love it. They love the name Kansas City in that part of the country, but. All right, so who we got? I got Duran. Joe, you got Sedan.
You're going Duran. I'm going Sedan. Pat's got Tyler O'Neill, which I am feeling good about O'Neill getting in the lineup. Cora did say he was dealing with an illness, but he was available in case of an emergency. So I do like Tyler O'Neill.
Always ill. He's always ill, bro.
Gordo is taking Rafi because he's a piece of shit and likes easy points.
Yes, that's it. Let's rag on him now while he's not here. We'll do that also in the next episode.
Yeah.
But
Sammy, you want Rafi? You want Rafi, little bachelor boy? Screw you.
What are you getting married or something? Do this podcast instead, nerd.
Well, you know what? He's not going to be here for, Sammy. Guess what? He's not going to be here for.
He's not going to be here for guys being dicks.
Oh, shut up, bro.
I was gonna say, someone make a noise. I'm holding my breath. All right, so this is the second time we've used the Royals. I want you guys to get weird. Give me a friggin' obscure player that nobody's ever heard of from 1901 or something like that, or a player that maybe tugs at your nostalgia heartstrings, something lovely like that. And that's why we love this segment. Who would like to go first?
Joe, you can go. Joe, you want to go?
Joe, go.
Joe, go.
Okay,
come on.
I'll go. I got to verify it just to make sure that he was on, but someone in the early 2000s, I think this does hit it hits the obscure line. Let me just make sure. Oh no, he did. I wanted to go with John McDonald, but I don't think he ever played for Kansas City. So I gotta do
You're thinking Blue Jays. You're thinking of the wrong blue team.
Yeah,
John McDonald. Yeah, he played for. He was a really good defender. I remember. You want me to?
Yeah,
you want me to hop
Sammy,
in?
you lead. How obscure are we talking, Sammy? I think you got to set the bar for us.
Okay, I'll go. This is this one. Actually, you guys might remember this guy. Do you guys remember Tommy Hotovy?
No.
Couldn't say I do.
This was recent. Okay, let me. So he
Yeah,
played.
Please explain.
So this guy he was certainly a player. He played 8 games for the Red Sox in 2011. How do you guys not remember that? It was
stupid of me.
Am I even pronouncing his name? Tommy Lee Hotovy. Hotovy? I don't know. But anyway, he was a left-handed relief pitcher. I'm pretty sure he's a coach now. Pitched 8 games for the Red Sox. Did not pitch well. So somehow he only pitched 4 innings despite pitching in 8 games. Good for an ERA of 6.75 and a very nice 69 ERA plus. But then he went to the Royals in 2012 and he bounced back with 9 games instead of 8 and 9.1 innings instead of 4. Ooh. And he had a 2.89 ERA and 150 ERA plus. And that was it for him. I don't know why he stopped playing. I'm hoping now, as I'm like checking, that it's not something tragic and then I'll just look awful. But yeah, Tommy Hotovy, I remember. Oh, that's right. He won the Lou Gorman Award, which is like it's like the minor league player of the year. So people thought he was gonna kind of have like a big role. Oh, here's the connection I was looking for. He worked with he was on the Cubs. He was the part of the Cubs run prevention unit is what it says on his page back in 2014. And then he was the Cubs pitching coach back in 2018. So there you go.
So he was the pre-Breslow guy. Essentially.
Yes, he was a pre-Breslow guy, and then he got COVID in 2019, and he had to isolate for 30 days, but he recovered and returned for 2020. I don't really know what he's doing now. I have no clue. Let's see. Is he? There's nothing on him. I could have sworn there was something. But Tommy Hotovy, this is like a left-handed sidewinder that we thought was going to be the next Javier Lopez. Shout out to you if you remember Javier Lopez. He was very good. And he did not become that. But he was on both the Royals and the Red Sox, I think most recently with the Cubs. So Tommy Hotovy.
That's a good one there. And I actually did find one. So let me make up for mine. Maybe the biggest Red Sox legend of them all, outside Johan Ramirez, Franchy Cordero.
The franchise,
I know.
baby.
Yeah, he one of the key pieces in the Andrew Benintendi trade. He had I don't know what you would call his Red Sox career, loaded with a lot of strikeouts, but also had a really cool game-winning walk-off grand slam. One of his times with the Sox, but yeah, long live Franchy, Franchy Cordero.
What does Franchy stand for?
Franchy hit the longest fucking home run I've ever seen in my life off of Zach Wheeler at Citizens Bank Park. I will remember that as long as I live. That was the furthest ball. That was Willie Mopeña territory.
474 feet.
Yeah, it was something crazy.
Yeah. He has anyone ever been more destined to play in Japan than Franchy Cordero?
Oh, dude,
he's like a
gonna
big dude.
Barry Bonds in Japan. Like that guy is just cut from that cloth.
Did he have any good like passable seasons with the Red Sox? He really didn't. I'm looking
absolutely
now.
not.
It's just not pretty. Okay, 8 seasons. It just says foreign. I don't know where, but 758 OPS. So he's
good for him.
He's still going.
He's league average.
Yeah, good for him. All right, Pat, who's your guy?
All right, mine's not the most random name, but I'm 99.9% sure somehow his name has never been mentioned as part of guys being dudes. Tom Flash Gordon. Stud. Father of D. Gordon, who fastest guy alive. But yeah, Tom Gordon, 8 years with Royals, 4 with the Red Sox, was fine everywhere. 8 years Kansas City, a 4.02. 4 years in Boston, he had a 4.45. You can't say the guy wasn't consistent. Rolaids reliever of the year 1 year. Some reason, I'll have to divulge. I'll have to look into this and do some independent research. But he was on the 08 Phillies team, but I don't think he made the postseason roster, so I don't think he got a ring.
No, you get a ring if you play at all for the World Series.
Okay, because on his Baseball Reference, it is not listed.
Oh, weird. Maybe you're not considered a World Series champion if you're not on the team, but you still get a ring. Like, I mean, they give a ring to
what I was thinking. Yeah,
that's they give a ring to everyone.
Yeah,
dude,
proper,
look at this.
Proper consideration.
Look at this season. 1998 is the Rolaids relief pitcher of the year, I assume, because, oh my God, 73 games he pitched in relief. He finished 69 games, 46 saves, 2.72 ERA, and a just disgusting 173 ERA plus. What's his strikeout per 9 that year? Wow. Okay, 8.8. Not that amazing, but still, he was a very good reliever for a long time. I feel like one of the more underrated Red Sox closers in the pantheon of Red Sox closers. It's like my favorite position in baseball is closer because they're just strange. So that's a good one. I like that a lot.
Yeah, long live Tom Flash Gordon. As you said, Pat, he's got to be brought up more. He's got to be brought up more. He's got such a big legend. But until then, we're going to sign off now on Play Tessie episode 108. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Before you do whatever it is you're about to do on this day, make sure you hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening, Spotify, Apple, the Odyssey podcast, rate it 5 stars. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you like the video. Also subscribe to WEEI's channel. We've got a playlist on there, the Play Tessie playlist via the WEEI. We've also got the socials out there. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, or X if you like to call it. Just search for Play Tessie. We've got some great content coming out there. But until then, for Pat, the new doctor, for Sammy, the originator of GBD, and for Gordo, the Texas Bachelor, this is producer Joe Braverman signing off. We'll see you next time for episode 109. So long.